Hello and welcome to ConfigureThis. In today's episode, we will build a fully functional pergola configurator that you can use to generate hundreds of leads for your pergola products. Let's jump right in. So, as usual, we're gonna start with master data preparation. Pergola is a little bit specific product, so we need to create the entire matrix combination to be able to calculate the pricing structure. So here you can see that I prepared the list of all possible width and length combinations to use it later on to pick the base product for the pergola. And now we're gonna import that list into the SalesQuiz platform. So we will download it as Excel, map all the fields and import the data into our article catalog and into the attribute sections, where you can see that widths and lengths are now present. We will later use those widths and lengths as dynamic filters in the configuration process so that the correct base pergola unit is going to be selected automatically for us and the price will be added to the total calculation. Once we have the data ready, we can start building the configurator. So let's create a new configurator in the SalesQuiz platform, add a name to it, and select the category where we want to publish our configurator. We will also enable additional options of the configurator. So for this specific example, we want to have the visualization, calculation, pricing, and rules. Next, let's start building the configuration model. So we will add the basic pergola attributes, which is the pergola type that's gonna be switching between the standalone and against the wall type. We will also add screen colors and screen positions, the length, the width, and the height of the pergola. We will use those attributes and feed them directly into the catalog components so that all the correct options will be automatically selected for us and the pricing of the pergola will be calculated correctly. In order to set these attributes up, we need to create the default settings so that the configurator will know what to pre-select when the user first opens the configurator page. Next, we will add some conditional filters using SalesQuiz constraint filters for the components. So in this case, the pergola type is going to filter the available screen positions on the pergola. So if you have against the wall pergola, we would like to only offer front, left, and right side, and also offer the additional back side if it's a standalone pergola. Next, we're going to start adding components. So in this specific example, we're going to add the base component, which we're going to feed the information from the selected length and width, and we expect this component will select the base product based on dimensions, so it will add up to the price later on. So the way to implement the matrix price list into SalesQuiz is to generate all the possible combinations of widths and lengths, so the X and Y dimensions, and connect them with dynamic filters so they are able to calculate a price at the end. We want to set this component in the background so it's not visible to users. And in order to make it functional, we need to mark it as required, and once the user will select the values of the width and length attributes, those will be automatically passed to this component, which will do a selection process, so it will select the correct option in the background without users knowing what's going on. So this is the best possible way to do very complex pricing and very complex product selection in the background without bothering the user flow with it. We're going to do the same for height. In this specific example, we have a list price list that adds a certain amount of money based on every 10 centimeters of height that you select. And we're going to do the same, connect the height parameters to the height selection that the user is performing through the attribute. So these dynamic filters allow us to do all the heavy lifting and conditional logic in the background without users ever knowing what's going on. So let's add all the remaining components. In this pergola use case, we're gonna end up with the base pergola selection based on the dimensions that the user is entering, then the color input where the user will select the color of the pergola structure, then the screen positions, so we either have left, right, front and back, and then screen colors, so the type of fabric that covers the pergola sides, and a list of accessories, and finally the pergola height, which is also a parameter that gets selected in the background based on the height attribute that the user is picking, and it's only used to calculate the correct price of the pergola. We're now ready to start building the configurator layout. So let's pick a fixed full screen layout as the master layout for this configurator, and let's start adding components to it. So we're gonna be selecting dimensions in the first step, then the colors in the second step, screens in the third step, and accessories in the fourth step. So in the dimension screen, we will just add width, length, and height so the users can pick the desired values and the product pricing is going to be calculated automatically. We're going to also add some helpful text, so a title at the beginning, so that the users know what this configuration step is all about. So we're going to ask them to select the pergola dimensions here. So if we look at the preview, you can see that with a few clicks we just created the first configuration steps where all dimensions are available for selection. Next, we're gonna ask the user to select the colors, and once again we're gonna add some explanation elements, so a title to this section where we're gonna ask the user to select the pergola color. We're also gonna modify the color component to only include color images, so the user can pick the colors visually. So here we are. The color step is fully configured, and we're gonna move on to the screen selection step. Once again, we add a title where we ask the user to select the screen settings and the colors of the screen. This is an optional step in the configuration process, so all the components and attributes are marked as optional, but they have a little bit of conditional logic which we will set up in the end. So if screens are selected, we also want the user to select the color of the screen, otherwise this is irrelevant for the configuration process. So we're gonna show the screen color options again using images of the fabrics, and we're just gonna show the position of the screen selection as a checklist where the users can click on which position they would like to include the screen and what kind of fabric color they would like to see. So let's check what we've created. This looks pretty nice, don't you think? So we are ready to move to the last configuration step, which is accessories selection. Accessories are again optional for the user, so we would like to just give some basic instructions of what the user should do on this step. So select basic pergola accessories and give them a nicely presented list of all the possible accessories for their current configuration in a form, let's say a product with an image, a product name, and if it has, we would also like to display a price. Okay, so now it's time to check what we've built. So it's a 4-step configurator, all the options are displaying nicely and they're all selectable by the user and follow a certain conditional logic. Next, it's time to build the rules and some business logic. We're gonna start by adding visualization to our product. So I'm gonna upload the 6 product images that represent the 2 installations of the pergola and the 3 colors. So 1 picture for 1 combination, and we have 6 available. We're gonna move to the rules section where we will add 6 rules that will drive the logic for displaying visualization based on the selections that the user is doing in the configuration process. So we're going to define one rule per combination of installation type and the pergola color. So we're going to set the rule for standalone installation, and we're going to add another filter to it where we'll say, okay, the color is anthracite. And this rule is going to fire when these two filters are true, and it's going to set the visualization to show the picture that matches these two conditions. So let's select the picture, and I will just jump through all the rest and create all the rules with the same logic. So here we are, all the rules are set up, and let's see how it works. You can see that the image is displayed, and if I move to the next step and start switching colors, the image is gonna change according to my color selection. And that's it for the visualization part. So we still need to add one rule to cover the requirement for the screen selection. So if the user has selected any screen positions, we also need to set the screen color as a required field. So let's go and add that rule. Great, the configurator is now ready. The final thing to do is we need to include it into our guided selling flow so that our users will be able to access it on the showroom that is published on our website. So let's do that. We will add a pre-selected attribute to differentiate between the two different pergola types that we have, so against the wall and standalone. And once we do that pre-selection, we're going to navigate the user to the correct product configurator. We added the option for the standalone pergola type, so now let's also add the option for the against the wall pergola type, so that we will have two pre-selections in the guided selling process where our users will be able to select the desired pergola version. The configurator is now complete, so let's look at the final result and play around a little bit. So first I'm gonna select against the wall pergola in the guided selling, and then I'm gonna start changing a few options just to see if the configurator works as expected. So I'm gonna fix the dimensions a little bit and then play around with colors just to verify that everything works as we set it up in the configuration editor. I'm gonna add screens, and I'm gonna try to submit the form without selecting the color, which should trigger a warning, and the configurator logic works as expected. Last, I'm gonna select some accessories and add this to my inquiry. So as you can see, the configurator and all the options are now selected, and also the price is calculated correctly. This is it for today. Hope you enjoyed the episode and learned something new. The Sales Quiz platform makes it really easy for you to build product configurators with our no-code editor. And as you can see, you can build highly engaging, very visual customer experiences to generate hundreds of leads for your products directly on your website. Stay tuned for the next episode, and if you like this one, don't hesitate to click the subscribe button below to get notified when we publish a new episode.